Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of LVAD Talk. I am here with another member of the LVAD Nation, Miss SJ. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Shawn? Mr. Connors himself. I see you over here doing your thing with your podcast and your YouTube. I applaud you.
Thank you, thank you.
You're doing your thing, man.
We trying,
Absolutely.
we trying to do a little something.
For
So
sure.
we were talking earlier, and I was going to get ready to have the Battle of the Beaches. Tell the people where you're located now.
So I'm originally from Centerville, Virginia. Shout out to VA.
That's right.
Right now, I'm located in San Pedro, California. Um, that was a remarkable move during a pandemic. I applaud myself for that. But I'm out here getting the best LVAD care that I can, praying for a heart in the future. As they blessed up, it's gonna happen.
So we
2022.
didn't talk about this earlier, but why did you make the move?
So I originally moved to California to have a better chance of getting a heart and just a better overall because they're at like 98%. They're at 98% in like successful hearts. So I
Mhm.
was like, I want the best care that I can get because for me, I started off in my heart failure journey with breast cancer. So it was just a turmoil from there. So
All right. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how it all began.
so it began for me in 2017. I developed breast cancer. Um, it was really crazy because it was just overnight, got up to go to work, normal work day, receptionist downtown DC. I was in the shower, I'm washing up and I'm like, what in the world is that? So I didn't panic. I went to work and, I scheduled a doctor's appointment. I went to my doctors and they were like, you're not covered for a mammogram. And I'm like, what? So I ended up going to the ER, and the ER is like, "Oh, you need to see a breast surgeon. We can't tell you any information." From there, I knew, like subconsciously, but everyone kept saying, "Don't jump the gun. Don't say it's cancer. It can't, it could be anything." I ended up going to the Breast Care Washington, which shout out to them. They're a blessing in disguise. Anyone who doesn't have insurance and is not approved for a mammogram, because technically you have to be 40 and up for them to screen you for breast cancer with the mammogram. So they do it if you don't have any insurance, if you're low income, if you're underage, they'll do it. So I went there and I got it done. I had an amazing black surgeon, Dr. Hampton. She was Regina Hampton, working out of Doctors Community. Um, Came. She was the volunteer doctor, the surgeon that came to do the people that didn't low income or couldn't afford it. Uh, when she did it, she said it was a cyst. She was like, "It's a cyst." I went to work. I was relieved. My boss was asking, "Oh, you good?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. It's just a cyst." I was cool. I was okay with the information given to me.
Mhm.
When a week passed, it just kept getting bigger, and I was just like, "Man, why does this thing keep getting bigger?" Like they're like, okay, the fluid is developing. We need to pop the pocket and drain the fluid. Okay, cool. They did it a few more times. It kept getting bigger. So I said, okay, something's going on. So the surgeon was like, we need to do a biopsy. They did a few of those. Come to find out, it was cancer. They called me at my job on the phone
Mhm.
and said, you need to come to the office right now. You have breast cancer. I was like, I thought it was some type of HIPAA because
Mhm.
y'all just telling me on the phone I could have left here, killed myself, or crashed on purpose, anything,
Right. Right.
So, thank God, thank you, God, for having a strong mind, and just going back to my desk and sitting down and acting like I didn't hear anything.
Mhm.
Um, my boss came to my desk and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't know." It was just like, I don't know. So she was like, come in my office. I was like, okay. Go in the office. And I had a black boss again, Monique. Shout out to her, AAMC. Um, get there, and she's like, what's really going on? And I'm like, oh, nothing. Doctor's appointment. I gotta go. I'm gonna go when I get off. She was like, you get off at 5. Like, no doctor's office open at 5. And I was like, I'll just go in the morning. Nonchalant, real nonchalant. My phone rings in the meeting. It's my doctor. And I'm like, I wait. I let the phone ring like 5 times. Like, she's like, you're not gonna answer that? And I was like, I answered it and I put it on speaker so that they could do the talking if I didn't have to. And they were like, Miss Jackson, we need you to be on your way here so that we can talk about your treatment plan. And I said, okay. And I hung up. And she looked at me and she cried. And I said, why are you crying? And she was like, my best friend is going through chemo right now. And I said, how did you know it was cancer? She was like, it's just the words being said. It's the way that she told me. I got the same feeling. And I said, but I didn't tell you anything. And she said, you didn't have to. So, she made me go to my desk, get my stuff, and leave. I left. Um, I didn't know who to call, so I just cried walking to my car. Because if anyone knows DC, you got to walk about 20 blocks to get to your car. So I was just boo-hooing, walking these 20 blocks, people looking at me weird. I didn't even care. My best friend at the time called me, and she's like, where are you going for lunch? And I just broke down. I was just like, like, can't get it out. She's like, oh my God, slow down. Like, what's going on? I was like, they just told me I had breast cancer. Like, she just was quiet. She didn't know what to say. She was just, it's gonna be okay. And, but I knew it wasn't. That's the thing. Deep down, I knew that it wasn't going to be okay because I knew that my family wasn't going to be there. I knew that my friends were going to leave me. I've seen the signs. So it's just like, okay, God, what you trying to show me right now? Like, what is this about to be? Am I about to meet you? Is this about to change my life? Like, what are you doing? Secretly, people ask, SJ, what's your biggest fear? Back then, my biggest fear was cancer. Today, I don't have a fear of anything. I can't even tell you because I don't know. If my biggest fear happened to me already, and if I overcame that, plus more, what do I have to be fearful of?
Exactly.
Nothing. So
Exactly.
that's where my journey started. Now, the process of the journey was just eye opening in itself. Um, so in the process for me, it was like I was saying before, we had a lot of hiccups in this. So it's just a lot of in and out of hospitals, misdiagnoses. I'm walking around with a collie joint and being insecure. Now, I used to be that person that used to say, man, look at that person. Like, I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation. Now here I am in that situation, and now people are looking at me like that.
Right.
So it's just like it messed me up. Like it messed me up. Like I'm walking around like I didn't even want to go outside, but my boyfriend at the time was just like, we gotta go outside. Like he was so insensitive. My legs were so big they looked like I had elephantitis. Like, and he's got me walking around the store like, oh, you gotta eat healthy. He thinking that this is all got to do with food, like, and I'm like, something's going on. Like it's bigger than food. Like it's bigger than food. Like I don't care how many green vegetables I eat. This ain't going nowhere. Like
Right.
something is wrong. Like, but these doctors just can't figure it out. So, um, I'm like, I don't know, I don't know what, I don't know. Like, I don't know. He's like, what do you want to do? Like, we went to the hospital time and time again. I don't know. So, I had a friend at the time. I went to her house. I just got in my car, called her. I said, you know what? I can't sit in this house. I feel like I'm gonna die in this house. She said, oh, come to my house. I'm having a travel party. I was like, what the hell is a travel party? I said, what is that? She was like, oh, just come and see, just come. I, I mustered up all my strength, bagged up all my medicine, all my middle all my choline drain and stuff, like all that stuff. I packed up in one bag, went to her house. She stayed with her mom. And I went over there and I sat down in this huge recliner and I was like, oh, this is comfortable. I could do this. Because when having heart failure, you can't lay down, you can't
Mm-hmm.
sleep, you can't breathe, all that pressure. So I'm just sitting there, and I'm cool. And I'm like, okay, cool, I can do this. As soon as I get up, it was just like death hit me. I was like, I couldn't eat. It was like every day I was getting worse. And they were like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm okay. So then her mom was like, go upstairs and lay down in my bed. I have an orthopedic bed. You can, put your legs up, put your back up, you get some sleep. So I was like, okay. She helped me up the steps. I laid down. Um, I'm feeling like I'm tossing and turning. I'm not getting no sleep. She's telling me I've been asleep for 2 days. Ain't woke up. I was like,
Wow.
what are you talking about? Like, I haven't been sleeping. Like, I feel restless.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, you've been resting. She was like, I need you to get out the bed, come downstairs, drink something, eat something. You haven't drinking or eaten anything in 2 days. So I was like, I can't do it. I was like, I'm not hungry. I was like, I'm not. She was like, drink some water. I was like, I can't. I'm not thirsty. So she was like, you gotta be something. I was like, I'm not. I'm not. So come downstairs. She cooked me a whole meal. I'll never forget. It was sweet potatoes and steak and green beans. And I was like, oh, this is a well balanced meal for someone who ain't hungry. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna eat it. So I forced myself to eat the whole plate. 5 minutes later, I was like, I need a bag. I was like, I can't get up. I need a bag. I need to throw up. She handed me a bag and I hurled nonstop. They called the ambulance. I couldn't keep anything down. Like I couldn't keep anything down. She was in Virginia. She lived over by Mount Vernon. I don't know if you know that side, but
Mm-hmm.
Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
I went there. It's a rehab hospital. They really don't have too many sources there. So they were like, you can go here, which they're gonna drive you to Fairfax. And I was like, it's no point in that. Just drive me to Fairfax.
Mm-hmm.
So when the ambulance came, my uncle got there faster than the ambulance. So my uncle's like, no, no, forget that. They're like, pack it up. They're all panicking, and I'm just there like, like can't keep it together. So they get me in the car. They race me to Fairfax. They get me to Fairfax. They're trying to get my history because all my history is at Doctors Community and at Washington Hospital Center. So I'm like, all right, cool. You know, so I get in the car. My uncle's like, "Are you okay? You good?" I'm like, "I just got the bag. I'm just over there." I'm like, "Just get there. Just get there." So we get there. They put me in their wheelchair. They wheel me in. They're like, "What's going on?" They're like, "We don't know. She has a choline drain. This they ran her for test for this, test for that." So they're like, "Oh, do you?" I was like, my stuff is at doctors. Look at doctors. Look at Washington Hospital Center. Now, mind you, I have Maryland Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
These people are in Virginia. They're like, "Oh, we can't run your insurance. It's Maryland. We can't do anything. It's Maryland." So what do? They put me in a bed. They hook me up to some pain meds, and I'm in and out. I'm in and out. No families up there. I have one friend, the friend's house that I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
She's panicking. I have my uncle. They called my other friend, a high school friend that just came out of nowhere. I ain't seen in 15 years. Just came in and started helping. It was just crazy. So I'm in and out, in and out, in and out. I don't know what's going on. So then next thing I know is they're like, "Oh, we're about to strap you in." I'm like, "Strap me in?" So they wake me up. They start disconnecting me from the pain meds and stuff. So now I'm starting to feel horrible again because I'm starting to feel everything. So I'm like, man, like, what are y'all doing? Like, just get it done. Like, I don't know. Like, at this point in my head, I'm like, just let me die. Like, just let me die. Like, this is just too much for me. Like, just let me die. I'm like, just let me die. They look at me like, you talking crazy. Like, if you was in my position, I'm pretty sure there'll be the same thing coming out your mouth, too. So they
Yeah.
strapping me in. They got the straps. And they're like, we're about to medevac you from here to Washington because it's a heart hospital. You're in heart failure. I know they have you on Millerone, but it's not working. All of your organs are shutting down. And I'm like taking this in, and I'm like, what? So then it goes from that to like them trying to switch it on the plane, on the helicopter, like, oh, you see the view, it's gorgeous. Like, how you doing? Like, like babyfying me, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm in a helicopter. This is mad cool, but this is not circumstances that I'm trying
Right.
to be in. I'm trying
Right.
to enjoy the view. So, and it's crazy because my current boyfriend right now, I told him, he's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, honestly, my biggest number one thing right now for me is I want to go to Vegas and do the helicopter tour because I want a different
A different
memory
perspective.
of being in a
Right.
helicopter, because when I see a helicopter, it's bad memories for me.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, okay, we want to do that. So fast forward, back to the LVAD. I get to the hospital, they hook me up. It's a lot going on still. I'm in and out, in and out. Boom, sleep, coma is what I was told. So I wake up. I don't see anybody but nurses. Um, they're like, good morning. Today is blah, blah, blah. Your name is blah, blah, blah. The president is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I know that, like in my head, but I got a breathing tube down my throat. So I'm like, what
Mm-hmm.
the hell? Yeah. So it's just like, it was like some genie shit for me. Like it went from hectic to like, what's that show called where it's like ER and everything's just going rapid and it's like telling you, but it's giving you the behind the scenes of like the doctor's version.
Okay.
It was like that for me,
Mm-hmm.
to just waking up to looking around into an empty room and it's just peace and
Mm-hmm.
quiet.
Because you were in
So it was
ICU then.
weird. So I'm like, I was in ICU.
Mm-hmm.
So when like now I'm registering it and I'm like, oh, this is weird. But then when I try to breathe, I panic because now I feel this tube down my throat.
Mm-hmm.
It's taped into my mouth and I'm like trying to grab. So now they trying to strap me down. So I'm like, now I'm instantly like, am I in a hospital or an insane asylum? Like it was just so many thoughts running through
Right.
my head. And it's just like, man, y'all strapping me down. It was crazy. So they were like, your lungs aren't fully developed. We need you to calm down. You just came out of a medical, they said medically coma. They said I slipped into a coma and then they slipped me into a medical induced coma to keep me asleep. So it's just like, just to hear that, it's just like I've been out of the world for a minute, and
Mm-hmm.
it scared me. So it went from that to a whole different trauma to not wanting to go to sleep. So now they're shooting me with that medicine, Seroquel, for crazy people because they're telling me that I ain't slept in 48 hours. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, 48 hours. So I started getting delusional.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I started to think that I was God. Like this pouch, I felt like the pouch was they like it was the government trying to get to me and make me a robot. It was just like it was so crazy. I was calling my dad at 2 o'clock in the morning saying that the government was out to get me and that they was gonna kill me. They said I hit a nurse in the face and I don't remember any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any of that. So fast forward, my legs, I had to bring my legs back into circulation
Mm-hmm.
and that was very hard. Just not work using your legs for so long and being weak for so long. Like I almost gave up. I almost told them to just give me the wheelchair. Like I'm okay with it. Just let me be a vegetable. I'm okay with it. Like I was just starting to be okay with being a vegetable and okay with having an artificial heart and okay with my life being over. And I was just content at that moment. So, I for me, it took a lot of strength. And people ask me all the time, like, what motivated you? I don't have no motivation. It's just something in me just said you're better than that.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. I don't have kids. I got godkids. I don't see them on a regular though. I love them to death, but they're not my motivation. And it's like my mom never wanted kids. She shows it. My dad is, he's very supportive now.
Mm-hmm.
you know Back then he was fighting his own demons. So it's just like it took me having to go through all of this for everyone else to get their shit together. So now I'm like, God, I see what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It took me to have to show everybody else around me that stop using life as, as a game. It ain't a game. It's not a game out here. Like, it shit can get real, real fast.
Yeah.
And, make people want to stick together, even though they stuck together when I was still trying to get my full zest of who I am back. But they're starting to slip back into their old ways.
Hmm.
Instead of, they're like, oh, Sonya's good now, SJ's good now, like, she's good, she's back to herself, she's doing things, and yeah, she got the artificial heart, but she's good. But now that they have that normal version of me again, it's like, oh, okay, she's good, she don't need my support. But in all actuality, mentally, I need that.
Hmm.
But they don't see that. When I lay down at night, I hear this pump. I don't hear a heartbeat.
Hmm.
When I lay down at night, I'm technically supposed to plug myself into a wall, but I don't. I sleep on battery because mentally it messes with me. I can't. For me, I can't process it,
Hmm.
so I don't do it. So if I sleep on batteries, I know my batteries last roughly 18 hours. I sleep roughly 6. So when I wake up, I'll have a battery in like 2 notches.
Hmm.
That's how I process my LVAD
Yeah.
versus a person
S-
who wants to just
So I
plug in
feel
and be like,
you.
oh,
I feel you on
ah,
that because with mine, my heart was so enlarged. They kind of had to jimmy it in there, and part of my pump is sutured to one of my ribs. So because of
oh
that,
wow,
the ribs, my your bones act like an amplifier. So there's a constant hum in my head. Like there's a and I ain't even gonna front. First
oh
2 months or so, it almost drove me crazy. Because you got this hum and you can't turn it off. You like somebody turn this damn noise off. You can't turn it off. It sounds like you remember old school how lights
yeah,
used to sound like fluorescent lights, and if you turn them on a certain way, they'll just hear that
mm-hmm,
little. I have that like right now in my head. I have that, and I've learned to kind of tune it out. And I always tell people
right,
if I was less of a man, it would have drove me crazy a long time ago. And I think when people in our circumstance, I think there needs to be more emphasis put on the mental component of it. You know, and just to be super real,
yes,
us as black people don't really go through or don't like thoughts of going through like mental health and therapy and such. But sometimes there's a need for it. Even if you ain't got nothing wrong with you, quote unquote, wrong with you, it's good to have somebody to be able to talk to and talk thoughts out. Now, you go through something like what
mm-hmm,
we've been through, I think that should be part of, yeah, they give you a physical rehabilitation, but I think they should also put in mental rehabilitation in that, just as important as the physical aspect of it. Like you want me to get up and walk around,
I agree,
but my mind needs to be able to walk around. You know what I mean?
yeah. And it's like, I don't know if you are a part of the LVAD support group on Facebook,
I am. Hmm.
but at first I felt like, oh yeah, great, get to meet other LVADers and see what they're doing. And then as 1 year passed, I outgrew the group because I started noticing nothing but complaints,
Hmm.
nasty pictures of infections, and oh, somebody died, or my pump has this or that. I'm just like, how do y'all have all of these issues? Like,
Hmm.
how? And then like, oh well, I checked it. Like, they got, it's so crazy to me because it's like they're like, oh yeah, I have a whole LVAD drawer and corner and LVAD changing station like they're a baby. And I'm like, where my LVAD supplies is? In my closet on the floor in a box. And when I'm ready to use it, I open up one by one and I use it and I toss it. And it's just like, y'all make y'all lives difficult for you and then you complain about it. But I understand the compliance of it. But again, we go back to the science of the pump. They are going off of what they feel like is safe off the science of how they built the pump, versus you're trying to match their science, and you're so focused on that you're not living your life. So of course, yes, you need a caregiver, because the caregiver got to count how many of these stick things you need and how many wrap, wrap things that you need for your stomach. Like, life is more than that, So it's just like, for me, I told myself I'm not doing that. I trained my brain to live normal and do normal things. Like, me and my boyfriend and a couple of our, a couple friends of ours, we went to Six Flags. One of I felt some type of way, and my boyfriend was like, "I seen it on your face. You were so salty," and I was, because I love thrill seeking things, So when I got on the roller coaster, they were like, "Oh man, you need to take your fanny pack off." I was like,
I can't. Right.
I'm just not gonna ride. They were like, "No, all you gotta do is take your fanny pack off."
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Well, I can't." And they were like, "Well, you can." And I was like, "Well, this is Six Flags. They hire kids. They don't understand. Just step off, wait for them, and then." So a part of me was just like, "Damn, this is a reality I gotta deal with." But then it's the other reality of, I asked my DC doctors if I can get on, roller coasters, and they said yes. They were like, as long as your cords are tucked and you're good, go ahead, go for it. So for me, this is where I have challenges with myself, because I challenge myself. I said, well, they wouldn't let me get on that. So this roller coaster is bigger. It got more loops. It looks better, funner. I'm getting on this. So, and this one, the other roller coaster, it went up and it did the tick, 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 tick. This roller coaster shot off and just went around a loop and then did some weird stuff. And I was like, oh, that looks dope. So my boyfriend's like, yeah, you sure you want to get on this? Because your heart. I said, let me handle this if you handle that. So we get on, and I twisted to the side, and I had a towel. So I was like, well, so they don't make me get off, let me just put my towel over it. So I swung it to the side, pulled the bar down, put the towel over it, whatever. And then he was like, you good? I was like, I'm good. He was like, you sure you good? I said, I'm sure I'm good. He was like, okay. So he was like, you ready? Ready. 5, 4, took off. That shot off. I was like, we up there. We up there. Like, I'm chilling. And then it goes up and it's sitting in the air upside down. I'm good. So then it goes down and it stops at a tunnel, and then it goes backwards and then it comes forward. I was like, oh, that was dope. So, I posted on my Instagram, and people were like, you got on roller coaster? I was like, yeah, and it was dope. So the one girl inboxed me, she has an LVAD. She was like, man, I wish I could do stuff like that. I said, don't ever say you wish, because you can. It ain't about if you can do it, it's how you do it.
Yeah.
It's how you do it. Because you can't get on a roller coaster with an LVAD bag.
I
Gonna be
feel
hanging
you,
out.
because I'm one of them type of people all my life. If you tell me that I can't do it, that's gonna make me want to do it even more. So with me, I've always had a heart condition. I was born with a heart condition. I had my first open heart surgery when I was 3 years old. Right. Growing up, I was blessed where my uncle and aunt went to a HBCU. They went to Hampton University. And they taught at Hampton University. My mother went to Hampton University. And so growing up as a little boy, I was always around the campus, and I fell in love with the band. And I always said, that's what I want to do. I want to be in the band when I get older. And everybody's, no, you can't be in the band because, you got a heart condition. At that time, I had childhood asthma too. You can't be in no band because of that. Oh, word. Okay. So I made it my goal to do everything I can do to be in a band. Like, I started in elementary school in 5th grade playing an instrument. Then in junior high school, I switched to, all right, so I also got to say that when I said I wanted to be in a band, I want to play the tuba. So, of course, I'm going to pick the biggest,
Right.
right,
Go big or go home, right?
right.
That's the no
It was
no
either I was going to either be a drummer
answer.
or play the tuba, but my mom was not having the drums at the house. She was not having that. So, and in junior high school, I switched over to the tuba, and then I started playing the marching band in that. Oh, you can't do that. What? Watch me. So I did all that through high school, and in college, I ended up marching in That's the and quite honestly, that's the only reason I went to college, just so I could be in the marching band. And for people who don't know, marching band is different at a black university than it is at a white university. It is a show. It was a time where I went to Norfolk State University, behold the green and gold, and it was a time that I went that
Hey,
the football team weren't too great during the time I went there. We love y'all, but y'all weren't great. And so people were paying to go to the games to party with the band. And, it's a lot of pressure and it's a lot of playing and it's a lot of dancing. And I look back on that time like, I did the damn thing. So yeah,
you did.
I'm that challenge has to be there sometimes to motivate you
Yeah.
to step out of your comfort zone so you can be great.
Right. And my mindset was it's like when I get angry, my heart beats faster. When I was upset with something not going right or nervous or, you know, anything like that, it's like my heart beats faster and it does weird shit then. So it's like if I get on this roller coaster, how weird can it get? As weird as it does when I'm mad, you know? So it's just like I'm not scared of roller coasters, so I'm not scared of it. It's just more so like how my heart's gonna react. So I just compare it to something that makes my heart react to the point where I know that I need to calm down, you know?
Mhm.
So it's just like, eh, it's not killing me. Let me just go ahead and get on here one time. Like, you know?
Well, let me ask you
But
this:
also another
Do
thing,
you have a defibrillator?
I do not. I do not have a defibrillator and I do not have a pacemaker. So I was so sick and they found out so late that my heart was sick that they told me once they put in the LVAD that it would actually correct itself, which is
Mhm.
a lie because I just got out of the hospital like a month ago. My heart went to AFib and they had to put me to sleep and shock it back to normal rhythm.
Mhm.
So I'm like, do y'all want to put in like a pacemaker? Or they're like, no, you're good. You've been 3 years without it. You're fine. I was just like,
Yeah, see,
okay,
that was
trust
one of
in your
my
judgment.
symptoms. I would that was one of my main symptoms was AFib. So yeah, I have one, but I didn't get my pacemaker slash defibrillator until after my LVAD.
Yeah, and that's why I keep asking them because I'm in a whole new hospital. So DC told me, no, don't worry about it. But UCLA was like, okay, we've seen one AFib in 4 years, technically, including the cancer. So it's like, we really don't think that your heart is going to keep doing the AFib thing, you know? So they just kind of ruled it out.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, being your own advocate is very important because when you're in the hospital with no family support, your mental checks out, and that's what I try to get people, men that I date, friends that I'm around, that I'm meeting, try to get them to understand. Like, yes, I don't want to focus my life on my disability, but unfortunately, I have a disability, so I have to pay close attention to it. But sometimes we just mentally check out because it's a lot, it's a lot, and we have to check back in to be like, okay, let me go ahead and keep pushing what needs to be done next. Because me personally, I see about 6 doctors a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. And then on top of catering to a relationship and running a business and then and having Zen time, free time, freeing your mind.
What
I
what
don't
is
get
this?
that time.
What is this free time you speak of? I don't know nothing about
Right. I know.
that.
I know. Right? No, not at all. But yesterday was definitely a vibe, and I I'm kind of mad I didn't get on that roller coaster because it was crazy to me. Because I was like, man, I want to start a YouTube channel, but I think I'm gonna just go with the TikTok first.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, I could have recorded on the roller coaster. Usually they tell you don't have your phone, but they had these clear pouches
Mm-hmm.
on the back of the seats where you could zip your phone in it and still record the ride. So I was like, dang. And it was late and the park was about to close. So I was like, man, next time I come, because we got season passes. So next time I
Okay.
go, I'm going to record it and I'm going to send it to you.
Please do. Please do. I would love to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
So how long has it been since you've had your LVAD?
May 31st had hit 3 years.
Okay.
So just a mark 3 years. and I've only had one alarm and one hospital visit, which was a month ago.
Oh, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine
I
it
was
was.
like, dang, I was trying to get to that 1 year with no alarm, the alarm right before that, right before my 3 year mark. I was like, oh,
Yeah, my I think my first year out was my worst year. And then it got progressively better and better to the point. Well, I've had mine for 6 years, but I haven't been hospitalized within the last two, maybe two and a
okay,
half. Yeah, and the
okay.
last one don't really count. All right, so we was talking earlier. I was telling you like I can't do like book bags or certain kind of crossbody bags because my cord is
Hmm.
short. I my cord. I mean, over the time of having it, 3 years of being a rough dude with it, it started to fray, and so they was like, "Well, we can replace it from the outside." I was like, "Yes, you do that because you're not going back up in here unless you give me a new heart. We're not doing it." So they replaced my cord, but when they did, it's shorter than what it used to be. And that's my only. I wish I would have had the foresight to tell them to put an extension, make it longer, because before I could put it in a book bag and sling the book bag around, but I don't have that extra length anymore.
Man. Like
Yeah,
I can do it, but my cord is pretty short. Like my cord is, the hardware, they're kind of stingy. The cord is not that. It's not that. It's not that. Because my friend, I have a friend. I don't know if you know her, Marina. Shout out to Marina. Hey girl, I love you. She's in New York getting her LVAD treatment, and her cord is so long. I'm like, she said, "Yeah, girl, I put my LVAD on a stand and I go to sleep. And I toss and I turn. I'm like, on a stand,
yeah, yeah. See,
on your nightstand, and then you just go to sleep." I was like,
I wish I
"No,
would have
I
known,
can't do
because,
it."
and if I would have known what they were doing, I would have been like, "Hold up, wait, stop! I might take the raggedy cord," because I wish that's the one thing. But besides that, I'm 6 years in, so it's second nature to me now.
So let
And
me ask you a question.
go
Why has
ahead.
it been so long with the
So
LVAD? Are you destinational or are you
no, no, I'm trying to get a
destined to
transplant,
transplant?
but
Okay.
I've always been a big boy all my life, and I've been fighting the whole BMI game. And even right now,
Man.
I'm smaller than I've been for the majority of the last few years, but I'm still like zero point 0.5 away from my BMI goal.
And
Did
they're
I don't think I'm a
clearly very
look look.
strict.
I don't think I'm a
Yeah,
big
you're
dude.
not that big. So I'm trying to look at you and figure out
I
like,
got a little belly. We ain't gonna talk about that on camera, but I got a little belly. But
so are
yeah.
you personal training?
Well, all right. So I was doing really good, and I had been going to the gym for a year, and I had knocked down almost all the weight I needed to. And again, it's not all about weight; it's BMI too. So because you could lose weight and get muscular, and then that'll mess you up because your BMI goes up because it's
Uh-huh.
body mass index. It's not definitely. It's not always weight, but
Right,
weight
right.
does sometimes. Well, weight does play a part of it. Yes. So I had been going to the gym. I got my little routine in. I was dropping the kids off at school, but I wouldn't even go back to the house. I'll go straight to the gym. I went from, I had to work it myself up. I went from being able to do 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And then once I got to 30 minutes, I was like, let's do 45 minutes. And I'm talking about time just straight on the treadmill, right? So I get to 45 minutes and I'm like, oh, let's do this. Let's do an hour. So I could do an hour. So I eventually worked myself up over the course of 3 or 4 months where I was doing an hour on a treadmill and then an hour in the gym. And that was my routine.
Hmm.
And then COVID hit.
I knew it.
So no more going to the gym. All the healthy habits went out the window. I'm at the crib playing Xbox Live. We're waiting to see when we can go outside, eating up everything in sight. So yeah, I'm starting over again. I just started going
Which
back to
is
the gym.
crazy. Which is crazy because while you're in the house and the world is in the house, I'm in the world. I'm traveling. I'm seeing new things. I'm planning to move all the way across the world. So I'm driving from
Yeah, because
Maryland to Georgia, from Georgia to
you
Florida.
moved during COVID.
I did. I My apartment was actually supposed to be ready December 1st, but it wasn't ready until the end of January. So I sought out to do a journey, which I went to from Maryland. I was living in Maryland in Suitland, PG County, and I drove to my godmom's house in Alpharetta, Georgia, just like 15, 20 minutes outside of Atlanta. And then when she got on my nerves, I love you, mom, but when she got on my nerves, I left and ventured off to Florida with my friends. And then we went on vacation to New Orleans. And then I got the call in New Orleans that my apartment was ready. So I flew back the next day. And then the next day after that, I flew here. And then I put my car on a transport and I was out.
Hey.
So I've been I've been partying. So while the world is opened up and everyone's partying, I'm partying out. But I did that on purpose because when the world's open, I'm ready, straight business.
To focus, yeah. But I truly admire you for that
Yeah.
because
And,
sometimes it's what you got to do. Yeah, let me ask you this: during your adventures, do you feel like it helped you mentally get back into the game?
yes, I do feel like it mentally helped me get back into the game. Um, just to know that my fears, I can surpass my fears. I can compartmentalize now. I can I can deal with people. I can deal with the world. I can deal with my condition. Before I went into the world and people seen me as together, but mentally I wasn't there. Now when you see me, I'm mentally here, I'm physically here, and I'm ready to tackle whatever it is that needs to be tackled. I had a little bit of a breakdown when I had to go check myself to the hospital because of all the trauma
Mhm.
of them not treating me the way that I should have been treated. So it's like, for me, my boyfriend's like, I'm here, I'm not far. I can't stay in the hospital with you because I have a hospital phobia. However, you know, hard body, God body, call me if you need me, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I stayed on the phone with him and I sucked it up and it was like, let me just get it done. And when I walked out the hospital, he was standing at the doors like, look at you walking out the hospital like you need to stay here for a day and a half. So, that lightened up my day. And, I just went on about my life. So, my doctors are like, oh, we ain't heard from you. I'm like, you're not going to hear from me unless it's something that I need.
Something's wrong,
I don't
right?
need you. My INR is good. There's no reason for me to talk to you, you know? So they're not used to that. They're used to their patients calling off at every little thing at that person. So
Mhm.
they're getting used to it. Slowly but surely, they're coming around.
Good, good. All right, so I always don't always want to talk to people about heart failure because I think that we are more than heart failure. There's other things to us, and there should be other things to you that make up your life. So let's talk about your business.
Yes. So for my business, I am my brand. I am me. I am her. SJ. That is I. That is me. So a lot of people, I'm still trying to get used to when people ask me, so what do you do? I stumble because I don't know what my true title is. It's like I speak to people. Am I a motivational speaker or am I an inspirational speaker? Do you feel like I give you inspiration or do you feel like I motivate you? Those are what I'm trying. Those are the things that I'm trying to figure out as far as the SJ brand.
Mhm.
Now I make T-shirts. This is my brand. Um, right here. This is my logo with an added woman here. This is the Walk by Faith, Not by Sight shirt. And I say that because she's carrying the burden of heart failure and breast cancer, but she made it through all of it. There's a saying on the back: glass can be broken and permanently damaged. However, a puzzle can fall apart and be placed back together in due time. The reason for that on the back of these shirts is because when everything started to fall apart in my life, I felt like everything was shattered and that I would never get everything that I had back. I lost my car. I almost got evicted. I lost my job. Um, they didn't give me SSDI. They felt like I could work while doing chemo, which I could barely walk to my bed in the kitchen. So it was just a battle. I had no one to call these places. So not only am I healing myself, I'm also being my advocate, and I'm calling these places trying to get insurance, trying to get extra help, trying to figure out what to do with my health, how to go about my treatment plan. So all of that was placed on my shoulders. So for me, it's just like, I don't remember what the question is anymore.
We were
It's that
talking about your
chemo
brain.
brain.
Yeah, we were talking about your brain and what makes your brain. But I
Oh
need
yeah,
I
with
need
my
one of
brain.
those
Yeah,
shirts.
yeah,
I'm a
for
shirt
sure.
collector.
I'll ship you one.
I
Yeah,
tell you
I
what, look,
got
look,
you.
look.
And
We're
then
gonna
it goes.
trade. Look. We're gonna trade.
I like that. I was gonna ask you too. I was like, oh, you characterize and stuff. That's dope.
Yeah, we'll trade.
So yeah, so my brand is basically self-love, self-awareness, and accepting yourself no matter what your condition is. Because I'm making LVAD that. So again, that's what my point was. Is I don't know. I'm an all-in-one. So when someone says, "What do you do?" I'm an inventor. I'm a designer, and I'm a speaker. So it's just like I'm SJ. When you go through your pump, I don't know if yours works the same way, but when you go through those settings, it said patient ID, SJ, patient ID. So I was like, even though it's my initials, Sonya Jackson, SJ is the lifestyle, which is LVAD lifestyle. No one else has that lifestyle. It's like a small percentage of us out there. Even though our community is maybe big to us, but in the world, it's really not a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just like, my sister's name is Shawn Jackson. So she was like, why did you do SJ? Because I could steal your business. I said, you can never steal my business because you can never live my life.
Right. Definitely. So, all right, I always end off my episodes like this. If a younger SJ came to you, and let me say how I want to word it. If a younger SJ came to you, you knowing what you know now, what would you tell her?
Be your own advocate and don't ever put your faith in people, put your faith in God. Because people will always let you down. Whether it be family, friends, even others. Because sometimes others that don't know you support you more than people that know you.
True.
So for me, I used to always put too much faith into people that I knew. And I got disappointed and I placed the blame on them, which is not them, it's me, for being the fool of allowing me to think that you are as loyal to me as I am to myself. It doesn't work like that. So anyone who's going through something that's reaching out to people, look everywhere. Because my blessing came from Facebook. My godmom is a cancer survivor, and she was watching my whole story and reached out to me. And she's been my godmom for 3 years now. For 3 years. I got sisters, a whole new family that support me when I was over here crying about my family that don't support me. I don't cry about it anymore. I just fix it. I change it. So when you do that, people attract to you. Therefore, you never have to go looking for anything. What's for you is for you, and that's just that. So put your faith in God and never in people's hands.
Dope. Very, very dope. All right, so now tell people how they can get in touch with you. What's your socials? Shout out to the website, which you guys can see on the screen. This is your time. Get it, girl.
Yes, so thank y'all for tuning in to the LVAD Talk. I am SJ Blessed Up. You can find me on Instagram at SJ Blessed Up. You can find me on Facebook at SJ Blessed Up. Those actually are my personals. So if you want to see how I live my life, I will be coming out with my TikTok. My TikTok is at SJ Blessed Up. My website is sjlifestylebrand.net. You can read my story. I have a customer appreciation page, so if you purchase a shirt, you can do that also on the website, and then I will post it. I'm adding a donation page to anyone who wants to donate. I will be donating to different organizations on the behalf of heart failure, breast cancer, and any other foundations that correlate to what I'm doing, which is self-love, which can be anything. So if you want to support the cause, coming soon, Also, my business page is SJ_lifestyle_brand_LLC, and you can keep tabs on me on all those platforms.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an exceptional episode of LVAD Talk. My name is Shawn. This is SJ. Oh, before we go, as you can see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen down there, the new website is live. So you can go and catch the show, leave your comments, watch and listen at LVADtalk.com. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending time with us. SJ, I am honored for you to come here and tell us your story. This is Shawn. That's SJ, and we are out.